Okay, so this is going to be a little tutorial on how to run the edge bander. So a couple of things to check. First off, make sure that the air is hooked up. We've permanently ran it over here to the edge bander. Make sure that your air pressure is above 110 psi, and then the power should already be hooked up. We've re-ran the power down, so that should all be hooked up. So the first thing you're going to do right here is turn it on, and you'll just flip that switch over to on. So that introduces air to the machine, gets everything ready, and then gets this front board all lit up, ready to go. So first thing I do is I just check this white tape and make sure that it's sticking out right there past that drum. You can double check it by just pulling this back and making sure that it's forward like that. If you don't, when you turn on the machine, this air ram right here keeps pressure against this conveyor belt to feed the tape in. So if that tape is not in there, then that air ram just eats away that conveyor belt, and I'll show you in just a sec. So second thing you'll do is turn on the edge bander conveyor belt and the heating pot. So now the conveyor belt's on and the glue pot is heating up. So let me show you this back here again, so you can kind of see the tape sticking out past that roller right there, and I'm going to pull it back out of the way. And as I pull that back, that ram is going to push it into the conveyor belt and feed it forward to the position that it's in. So if the tape is completely out of the way, then this air ram is just going to keep chewing away at that conveyor belt. So just make sure that that tape is up in the right position when you turn it on. So it's got to warm up to over 200 degrees. It flashes when it's heating up. Once it's done heating up, it'll turn solid, so it won't be flashing the temperature anymore. At this point, you want to make sure that you're set up to run straight shelves and not corner cabinet shelves. If you are running corner cabinet shelves, then you need to turn this one off. So corner cabinet shelves, turn it off. So you just turn it and it turns it off. So we're not running corner cabinet shelves right now, so we're gonna keep that on, and so that it's ready to go. Next, you just want to make sure that this green light's on so that everything's ready to go. If for some reason it's not on, this top switch, you can toggle that back and forth, and that bypasses the door lock and should make that green light come on. Okay, next you're going to turn on this one, and that's going to turn on the top and bottom trimmer and the end trimmer at the same time. And then this last one is going to be the buffer wheel on the end. So we'll go ahead and get those turned on. Okay, so once I turn those on, these lights come on and they're ready to go. There's a certain way that we label these. We always label the edge of the shelf, which means we want to edge band either this side or this side, not the side that has the writing and not the other side of the writing. We do have this guide right here that sits on here with a magnet, and that's kind of got a little drawing of the tape, the white tape coming in, shows you the numbers. So you want to make sure the numbers are facing you when you're running it through or away from you. And then this has kind of got the common sizes of the shelves so that you can make sure that it's getting ran the correct way. So once we've got that, we set our shelf up here. We're trying to do this one-handed, so I'm going to move this out of the way for just a sec so you can kind of see. So the power feed is all set up, so all you need to do is just get it started in there and it'll run through. I always make sure that I'm watching the tape get cut. So you want to make sure that the tape is cut. If it doesn't cut it and it keeps dragging the tape in, then you'll want to just hit the red button and turn the machine off. Cut that extra tape, and then you'll be able to get that cleared out and finish running that. So let me run this other one, and then we can I'll show you a couple other things on the machine. So again, I like to just kind of stand back behind it a little bit and run it through. You don't really need to keep it tight to the fence or anything if you get it started correct. Again, just making sure that that gets cut and that tape gets fed back forward a little bit. Okay, so once you get done running the shelves, you can just go ahead and turn it off by hitting the red buttons. So hopefully that wasn't too loud when I was running those, but again, you just want to run your piece through. Make sure that this tape gets cut and that it feeds back out a little bit, and if it doesn't, you can pull the tape back a little bit and let that engage and pull forward like I showed you at the beginning. Okay, a couple things on the machine. So if for any reason it just shuts off, there's a couple of things that you can check. First, did you run a second board in too soon? So usually I wait until the board gets through here a little ways. I try to just run one at a time, but inside the machine right here, there's a little ram that goes forward when you run a piece, and when it gets through the machine a certain way, it comes back forward and you'll hear it slam forward. Once that slams forward, it's safe to run a second piece, but again, it's better just to run one piece at a time unless there's multiple employees running it. So that could be a reason why it shuts off, is if you run a second piece through too soon, it messes with the sensors and it shuts off. The other reason, which is rare but can happen, is when you're pulling your piece out of the outfeed here, you bump this emergency stop. If that happens, just pull it back out till it clicks and it'll reset everything. The other reason it can shut off on you is if the air pressure gets too low. So sometimes in the booth, if Kirk is spraying off doors and stuff, which shouldn't be an issue now because we've changed the way he does it, but if this air pressure drops too low, then it'll shut off the machine also, and then you'll just have to double check your air, make sure it's got air pressure, and then you can turn it back on. Those are pretty much the only things you really have to worry about. And then, so edge banding, so once it comes out of the edge bander, let me move this one out of the way so I can show you what we do. So there's a couple things I do to get set up here at the station here where you're cleaning. Get a sanding block with sandpaper on it, the scraper, and then a rag with this xylene on it. So first thing we do is we're gonna scrape the top edge. I come in at an angle like this, hang it off a little bit, run it through, all the way through, and that cleans up this top edge to where nothing coming off the shelf is gonna catch that little bit of tape. Next, you wanna turn your scraper at an angle, and you'll run it through at an angle, and again, that just kind of takes that sharpness off. I like to have the garbage can sitting right here, so as I come off, the pieces usually just fall right in there, and it's nice and convenient. Once you do that on the top side, I'll flip it over. I'm right-handed, so I put this white edge on the right side, but if you're left-handed, you could do it on the other side and use your left hand. And then you just repeat that process on the back. You go flat on the face and then go at an angle across there. Next, we want to break the edges. You can kind of see this one is getting a little bit worn. Once it starts getting worn, you can just replace it. We've got 2 of them, so I usually will get 2 of them prepped, and then as one gets worn out, I can just switch it out real quick. But basically you just need to do just a quick pass on each side. So the top and the bottom edge. So when you're doing these edges, there's a couple ways you can do it. If you just go straight across, you can see it'll wear an X pattern in the sandpaper, and it wears it out pretty quickly. If you do a little bit of a circular motion as you go, then it's gonna wear the pad out a little bit more evenly and make it a little bit better. So once you do the one edge, just turn it. Do the 3 edges, so you do all the edges, top and bottom, except for the white edge. And again, I just do the top, and then I just roll my hand underneath and do the bottom edge. I don't flip the board back over. Next, we're going to stand it up on edge and take a look at the top edge for glue. We take our xylene rag, and I usually just drape it over the top, and you just run it up and down this side. You can see sometimes you'll get little pieces of the tape hanging off on the edge. So if you pinch it with your hand and you run it, it cleans that up. And you'll feel those edges when you're running the rag down, because it'll snag on those. So you can see there's a little bit of glue there. You can see on top here there's a little bit of glue there. So we want to make sure we get that off. So my rag's been sitting a little bit and it's dried out, so I'm going to get a little bit more xylene on there, and you'll see that it'll just take that glue residue right off. And then so once we run that, after that we stick it in the cart. So these are all numbered with the room number and the cabinet number. When we stack them on the cart, we want to try to put the biggest in the back, and we also want to try to put the numbers up. We don't want to try, we do. So right here there's just a little reminder, load the biggest in the back. So you can kind of see I've got not really the biggest, but the tallest and the longest. So you can kind of see from this direction. I start running these bigger ones. You can only fit 6 in each of these openings, so you kind of got to plan it out. But you can see that we don't use this front section at all. That's for the dishwasher panels and the hood vent inserts. So we want to avoid using that section at all. We also have these numbers down here. There's a 6 there and a 6 there and a 6 right here. Some of them there's only 4 in the back, but that's how many you can fit in there. So the upper ones we do side by side, and we put the white edges together. That just kind of helps protect them when they're in the cart back and forth. So that's kind of a quick tutorial on the Edge Bander.